Greetings, Tezos Nation. Welcome to another edition of TezTalks Live. I'm Stu from the Tezos Commons. Joining me today is Mauvis Ledford, CEO and co-founder of Sogni, the creative artificial intelligence platform balancing the scale for AI creators and users. Mauvis is joining us today to talk about the impressive progress Sogni has made since its initial launch, how participating in TZ APAC's Fortify Labs Startup Studio helped his team bring the product to market, and what the future holds for one of the AI space's most interesting products. Hi, Mauvis. Where are you right now, and how's the weather?
Hi, Stu. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm calling in from sunny Singapore.
Lovely. As we always do here on TezTalks Live, can you get the ball rolling by telling us a bit about your background and how you got started on your journey into the exciting world of blockchain technology?
Man, that's an hour-long story, but I'll give the 3-minute blurb. I try to get it down to 2 minutes, but it's sometimes tough. Yeah, so my name is Mauvis Ledford, and people generally know me in the crypto space as the former CTO at CoinMarketCap. That was a long time ago, from 2017 to 2020, up until the Binance acquisition. But people outside of crypto, they don't know me. But I've been in the ed tech space for a long time before that. I was a lifelong learner in startups in New York City and San Francisco. And I ended up going to the Gates Foundation to do this like deep dive nascent technology research in actually fields like AI and blockchain. 2016, I fell in love with blockchains, and even though it was a cushy job at the Gates Foundation, I said I got to move, and I went to blockchains full time, and I've been there ever since 2017.
Okay. And how did you first become aware of Tezos?
Man, Tezos is as popular and ubiquitous, I would say, as Ethereum, especially back in the day. And even 6 years ago, when I left the Bay Area of San Francisco to move to Singapore, I had got a small place in Reno, Nevada, because I still wanted a connection to stay close to the Bay Area. And even there, I saw there's a Tezos minted NFT art for Burning Man that the mayor of Reno was talking about in an interview. You know what I mean? Like literally in a small place like Reno, it's there. So it's everywhere.
Okay. And what was it about this ecosystem in particular that appealed to you?
Well, it's interesting because, I'm 43 years old now, and I've been doing deep tech stuff for 20 plus years. But I actually have a BA in art and design. And that's another inspiring story I like to tell is, even though I am a CTO and have been for a lot of projects, I'm just a lifelong learner that just can't stop learning about this stuff. And I'm not particularly especially gifted at it. It's just like I just love building and creating. Tezos is similar in that it has the OG artists and builders in the space. And after CoinMarketCap, I was essentially an advisor for a couple of years for Web3 startups. That was my full-time job, but I always miss going back to tech and art. And so this is a deeper story, but when the head of iOS built the original version of Sogni and showed it to me, at the time it was just for downloading open source models and rendering them with your own computer. And I said, this is incredible. No censorship, no trackers, no monolithic companies stealing all your information. But it was very slow. So I said, what if I can wire up all my Macs to your Macs? And that worked out so well that we started like the DPIN layer for Sogni.
Okay. And obviously, as you mentioned, like that all led you to founding Sogni here in the Tezos ecosystem. Can you talk a bit more about what originally inspired you and your team to build Sogni? Like, what was the problem you set out to solve?
Yeah. So about 2.5 years ago, I think everybody on the planet was blown away by this whole what I call the AI human renaissance that is happening. Like designers, devs, salespeople, everyone can be 10xing their skills, learning more, learning at whatever pace they want to learn at using large language models. And then you have all this stuff with Mid Journey, with really cool image generation, but it's all kind of siloed between 3 or 4 mega corporations. And people don't realize it, but you're spending $20 or $30 a month funneling their innovation, and they're training on your data potentially and a bunch of other scary things. And the minute you stop paying, you lose access, right? And so we saw this alternative world where we saw that all these people were posting thousands of models that they're training in the open source world in Hugging Face and places like GitHub, but it's inaccessible by normal people. Normal people can't download and compile those models and do different things. So we said we can make AI super easy for the masses, starting with creative AI, and then we can make it um, cheap by instead of trying to rent big Google and Amazon cloud servers and stuff. Everyone has these crazy gaming PCs, like everyone's friend at least, and they are on those machines like 8 or 9 hours per day. 16 hours, that beast is just sitting there. So if you double click installer software, you earn passive income, and the artists and creatives are paying pennies on the dollar with no monthly fees to access it. Literally everyone wins except Google and Amazon save the world.
Okay. Well, if we can roll it back a little bit, you mentioned that you had a background in the arts. What part did your background in the arts play in your decision to bring Sogni to the world?
Well, like when I started using Midjourney is when I was first blown away by what generative art can do. And especially when you're able to ideate. For me, it's there is fears of everything from copyright, from energy use, and to stealing other people's ideas and concepts. And but I believe there's so much about not throwing the baby with the bathwater, because you can ideate so fast. You can essentially be your own like rich person. Like usually like artists like that we all know that are famous, Picasso's and others. They made art until they were old, and even when they had arthritis and stuff, they had 3 or 4 assistants to be able to do their bidding. You know what I mean? And for me, AI is a great equalizer, and you can be your own movie director, your own set designer by yourself. It's just there's a huge chasm between those models and you, and our goal is to make them accessible to you, cheap, and easy to use. That's the hardest part. There's a lot of GPU providers out there that they're kind of faceless in that they are a collection of GPUs, and it's up to you to set them up and do all the work. We want to do all the work for you just so you can start creating and stuff. And so when I look at this stuff, I look back to when I was in high school. In my high school, I was in Louisville, Kentucky, and we had to declare majors. I was a VA major, and I remember what it takes to brainstorm and create ideas and stuff. And there's been a couple of moments where we've built some Sogni tools that people have really used to the max. Like we have something called control nets, which allow you to take one image and use elements from that to process a new image. So it's not just text to image like you're used to. So he was crumpling up pieces of papers into like little boulders, and then he was taking pictures of that, running that through control nets to create like futuristic organic cityscapes of what the buildings could look like. You know what I mean? And you couldn't do that without AI. You couldn't do that without input. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And so I just want to be a cool and cheap place where people don't have to spend an arm and a leg to do cool stuff.
okay. And as you were starting to bring that vision to life, what made Etherlink a good fit for this project?
Well, I've always been, a Bitcoin, OG. I'm actually not an OG because 2016, like 2014, 2013 would probably be more OG than I am. But I've always been kind of Ethereum aligned because it's kind of like JavaScript. There's so many things wrong with the programming language, but it's the beast I know. And so with Ethereum, the EVM, there's plenty of ways to improve it, but the ecosystem is so large on that, and there's so many open source libraries for it. And so anything that is kind of EVM aligned is super interesting to me. So
Mm,
when Etherlink came out, people don't realize it quite yet, but it has sub-second block times. It's faster than L2's like base. It's cheaper than L2's like base. So for experimentation
mm,
and for deploying anything you've ever deployed to Ethereum or to Polygon or to Base, you can deploy it on Etherlink with like practically zero changes. Like I'm talking zero changes. So it's been super problem free for us to that, and we get the bonus of being able to access multiple communities and the OG artists on Etherlink and Tezos and all kinds of really cool stuff.
okay. Now, Sogni was officially launched in July of this year and is off to an amazing start. But your team had some support in bringing it to market from Fortify Labs and our good friends at the TZ APAC team. So before we talk about what's happened since Sogni's launch, I'd like to hear about that. What can you tell us about your team's decision to bring Sogni forward as an applicant for the Fortify Labs Startup Studio's 2025 cohort?
It's been really awesome. Like we have a team of 14 plus one intern, and everyone on our team is kind of like overworked. Like we work a lot, but we enjoy what we do. And having the TZ APAC team, because we're largely based in Singapore, but our team is also like distributed abroad in the U.S. and Portugal and India and Ukraine. But the team, particularly in the TZ APAC team here, it's like having another 5 or 6 people on
Mm.
your team to help you think through marketing, through even like talking to other VCs, access to lawyers, and access to the Tezos and Etherlink communities to do things like cool Q&As. To do we have something called Photo Booth, which is just a fun thing we vibe coded in 2 days, that end up being the number one hit at conferences. And so we moved that entire infrastructure to Etherlink to show how easy it is to deploy here. And so if you're using Photo Booth today, it's powered completely on Etherlink. There's some of our products that are on both chains or all chains, and but basically it has been a person, like having a person in the room to talk to and to bounce ideas from. Also, during Token Tool for 9 Singapore, we sponsored an event together. We bought out the Hall of Over Easy bar, and we packed it to the brim with people. I think there must have been over 800 RSVP'd. We had really cool experiences, really good talks, and like the amount of work it requires and people on the ground is no small feat. Like we ended up doing about 12 activations total during Token 249, and probably two and a half of them were with the TZ APAC team, and they're just always spot on. There's one other thing I would like to add, that when we launched in July, we had the original goal of launching on base, but there was other L2s that were interested in these kind of exclusive relationships and support and stuff, and um, those other projects, those other L2s, they didn't seem as much to care about what we're doing. They're just trying to get more, stuff into their system and lock you in. And with the TZ APAC team, they clearly saw, we do not want to affect your growth. We want to be a part of your growth. We want to supplement your growth, and we love what you're building. We truly do, like, we're our place for OG artists and creatives. And so we instantly clicked there. And I would also say that the CZ APAC team, they're smiling, happy people. Where when you see some of these other L2s, like they look overworked and tired. You know what I mean? And I don't know. There's a difference. There's a total difference in like night and day there.
Okay. And what was the actual application process like?
So we met, or actually around, I think it was last December during consensus. Like I gave a talk on a panel, and that's where I got to meet the TC APAC team. We applied. It was easier for us because we're also based here in Singapore, so I can
Mm.
meet face to face. And then we started discussing about the things that we needed to make sure there's a good fit. Obviously, we found that there was, and we applied and we got accepted.
Okay. And once you were accepted into the 2025 Fortify Labs cohort, what kinds of supports did your team receive from TZ APAC and the Fortify Labs team?
Well, I think it really depends on what you need. Like, do you need technical help? Do you need marketing help? Go to market strategies. And for us, we are a team of 14, but about 10 of them are just nerdy coders. You know what I mean? And marketing is something that we do need a lot of help and support on. And, myself, after 23 years of building, I know that you can build the best products in the world, but no one will come with, they will never see the light of day without good marketing, go to market strategies and stuff. So a lot of, TZ APAC is helping us do contests, helping us get out there,
Hmm.
encouraging we can build in so many different directions. And so our main product is called Sogni Studio. You can kind of think of it like a decentralized mid journey if you put it inside of Photoshop. And when I go to the conferences and stuff, what I'm starting to realize is every single person that comes to our booth may not be looking for prosumer AI to learn about models and seeds and control nets. They just want to make pretty pictures. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so when we created products like Photo Booth, it was TZ APAC that says, yeah, you guys are onto something here. Literally everybody that comes to a crypto event and sees the photo booth takes an AI photo and then asks questions on how this works. How can I use this? It's been really great. And so I've been with like 6 or 7 other startups that were accepted in the TZ APEC program, and we also learn from each other too.
Mhm.
So by seeing the other startups that were accepted in the program and sharing, that's also been a really cool experience in um, running ads here or doing certain marketing things here or even partnering with each other. So good quality begets good quality, and so
Mhm.
that's another aspect. But definitely, they've always been asking us like if you need legal help, VC help, foundation stuff, because I've never run a foundation before, and Sogni is actually like based on a Cayman's foundation. Our goal is not to build something slightly better than private AI and the closer systems. We want to be completely different, and the Tezos Foundation has been doing this for a long time, know how to do things properly in a way that scales. So that's been really good to get advice from.
Fantastic. And this all led, as I mentioned before, to the official launch of Sogni just a few short months ago in July of this year. How would you describe the feeling you had when you finally unleashed Sogni upon the world?
It was good. I mean, it was a relief and nervousness because once you launch a token, you can't unlaunch it. So you got to
Mm.
do everything correctly. You got to get on the exchanges, the dexes, and you really have to have all your ducks in a row. And so after your token launches, it's it's interesting because day to day you're like checking the price and different things, and you think when the token price dumps, you almost take it personally, like why, you know what I mean? And when it goes up, also you feel like overjoyed and stuff, and then you got to realize I got to stop checking these prices and stuff. But you're right, we've started building this for about 2 years. It took us
Mm.
about over a year and a half to build. We launched about 4 months, 3 weeks ago. The feedback has been really great. We have about 85,000 users globally, and we have about 950 GPUs in the network. So about half of those are NVIDIA. We even got some H100s in the mix too, which is pretty amazing to me. I don't know why they're there, but actually they're really liking it. And so overall, it's been really great. And the other cool thing for any builders that either already have a token or are thinking of launching one, um, the TC APAC team really turned us on to Layer Zero. And Layer Zero is this format that allows you to bridge ERC20s from one EVM to another. And um, we, during launch, like probably a couple of weeks before launch, we enabled Layer Zero in our ERC20 that allowed us to bridge from like Base and Etherlink and any future chain. So when you think about launching on Etherlink, by supporting layer zero, it enables you to launch on all chains, which is pretty cool. And we're actively working because we have this NFT licensing thing that allows people to register their NFT to become workers on our DeepIn network. We're allowing that to bridge over to Etherlink too, so you can earn Sognis directly on Etherlink as well.
Now, for those who might not know, how do you explain Sogni and what it does to people who ask?
So it's a lot, yeah. So this is what I spend a lot of time with, and I would say at its core, we're a creative network, GPU network for creative AI, and we're for artists, builders, and GPU owners. And our goal is to be kind of like Apple in that we run the whole ecosystem. We have 5 or 6 apps launched that are built on our DeepIn network. We have an SDK that allows anybody else to build experiences. The same ones we have access to, they can build too. Like we have a Telegram sticker bot that's free for people. We have a tattoo idea generator, photo booth, Sogni Studio. And anytime we do that, most of that we open source and put on GitHub. So you can download it, you can remix it, you can build your own experiences. Like you want to build a side scrolling dungeon crawler game and have unique graphics with every run, you can use Sogni. There's no monthly fees, it's pennies. And then the GPU workers, like that was the biggest fear during launch, that we wouldn't have enough GPUs interested to join our network. But we like I said, we have 950 registered, and we're doing quite good. We also have this leaderboard program for artists, stakers, GPU owners, that they're earning our tokens for participating. In the future, we're going to give more and more governance so people can literally vote on the future of where Sogni goes.
Very cool. And since its launch, as you mentioned, Sogni has managed to accumulate well over 80,000 users. You touched on this a little bit, but I'm wondering if I can get you to expand a little bit on, like, what has the response been like from the people who've used Sogni so far? What are the kinds of things that you're hearing?
I think people are blown away by what open source can do, because a lot of times I literally have to say, like, I did a hackathon at NTU here in Singapore. They're a top 8 engineering school, I think. And when I show the first images of my slides, I say, guys, this is not Midjourney. Like, this is open source. Like, you can download these models and you can run them yourselves. The thing about downloading the models and running them yourself is it takes a good like 1 minute per image render.
Hmm.
When you're using our deep-in layer, we can do 16 images in under 5 seconds. And so the ideation, like, when time is money and you're building, you're a designer, you're a design agency, you can use us, pay pennies on the dollar, and pay, charge your customers dollars, pay us penny. And same thing for builders and stuff. So people don't realize how cheap it can be without paying $60 a month to like Google Banana or any
Hmm.
of these other, kind of enterprise deals where that model, you'll never get access to it except through an API or something. With us, there's no vendor lock-in. So anything you can do on us, you can also download the models through our own software, turn the internet off, and render it yourself. So we literally want to be that layer for open source, giving back to open source. And I think, so far people have been digging it. Like, even with, Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin going from 120,000 to 82, like we went down less than they did. Of course, we're a new project, but a lot of these small altcoins got crushed, and I think people are believing in the spirit of what we're building and seeing us building in the open. They also cannot wait for video. So we've been doing images for a long time now, and we have support for over 100 open source models. But we're doing video open source models probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. And for those curious to try out Sogni for themselves, what do they need to do to get started?
So in the if you have a Mac desktop or an iPhone, you can just look up Sogni in the App Store. It's available for download. Um, if you want to be a worker, like you have a brand new M4 MacBook Pro and you want to earn some tokens, either to cash out or to have governance in the network, um, or for like voting and stuff, like you can do so much. Um, if you go to Sogni.ai and go to the download page, there is a version of Sogni Studio that is not in the App Store that has the worker software built in. So you just click the Be Worker button, and at night you can just pay, you earn enough to pay for your renders and
Hmm.
never have to pay us a single dollar. You're actually contributing back to the network, which is cool. Um, and then photo booth, it's just photobooth.sogni.ai. I think we give you like 20 or 30 free renders per day. After that, you can top up. For all of our services, we roughly charge about half a penny per render. You can use Stripe credit card or in-app purchases. Behind the scenes, we do buy the token for you, and we create a wallet based on your username and password, and that's what creates your private key. And so I think that's the future of Web3. It's not trying to teach people MetaMask and Rabby wallets and stuff. It's by abstracting away the token part.
Hmm.
It should just be like airline miles. I don't know how they work. I just know that I need them to get the discount flights. You know what I mean? Same thing how the token models can work. And so if you go to Sogni.ai, there's also a super apps page of all this stuff. Like, you want to create Telegram stickers for your community, just click the link and it'll go directly to the sticker bot as well. But the big one is Sogni Studio. But I will have to warn people that Sogni Studio is a prosumer tool with all the bells and whistles. And our goal with UI updates is always so that people don't feel like they're at a airplane dashboard. And that's what's taken along with Sogni Video. It's not actually the tech of adding it to our worker swarm. It's the actual UI and user interface to make it super easy. But yeah, we also have a YouTube channel. Just look up Sogni AI, and there is hours of videos of how to do next level, creative AI stuff, from face swap, hair swaps, change night to day in a photo. Anything you've seen with, the Google Bananas of the world and stuff, you can really do on Sogni as well.
Okay. And as part of Sogni's launch, your team completed its first token generation event. You've talked a little bit about the tokens, but what part do Sogni tokens play in the platform's user experience?
So primarily, you can think of the Sogni token as tokenized GPU time. And we actually, whenever we get a new download, a new open source model, I'm going to pour myself a water here.
Feel free.
Um, we check how long the image takes to do a render on the same hardware, and that's different models have different like memory sizes and other requirements, and so that's how every model in the platform, it can take anywhere from like 5 to 30 seconds to render, and that's GPU time. And then we divide that by the current market price of Sogni. So Sogni gives you access to this whole DPIN network, but it also allows you to stake it to earn on the leaderboards. And in the future, it allows you to vote on the future governance. My goal here is to be a kind of Web3 base layer of the internet. Just like the internet itself is used by everyone, anybody can enter the stream that is Sogni and either use our apps, build apps on us, or put their GPU to earn passive income. You know what I mean? And so we actually have two tokens. One is the Sogni token that we know, but another one is called Spark. And the cool thing about Spark is just worth like half a penny, and generally renders are cost half a penny. So when you are using in-app purchases on Apple, and by the way, we're launching Android very soon by the end of the year, or using Sogni Web at app.sogni.ai. That's our web version of Sogni Studio, available for all devices. And you put that Stripe credit card in, we deposit Sparks into your account, but as you're spending those Sparks, we market by Sogni and pay our workers. So then our workers decide what to do with those Sognis.
Okay. And can you expand a little bit about Sogni's SuperNet and how it works? I know you gave us sort of the initial version of it, but can you expand on that?
Yeah, sure. So when we first started our SuperNet, it was actually our team. Like we have a couple of our RTX 4090 machines in the US. I have four of them here in Singapore, two on each floor here. I have a Mac Studio as well. So our network started with just like 15 or 20 nodes in the first Mac, and then we added support for NVIDIA. But what I like to tell people that, come and visit us and try to understand things is, you can think of us as like Uber or Airbnb, or here in Southeast Asia, we call it Grab. We actually don't have GPUs. We connect people who want GPUs with people who have them. And we intelligently load balance the system to be efficient, have ratings and review system, and we take a small fee. And so what we do, like DPIN, is really interesting because these nodes are inherently unstable. They can go down or up at any time as users take them on and off, and it's our job to make it transparent and just work efficiently. If a node goes down halfway through one of your renders, then we send the work to another node to finish the job, and we send it to you and stuff. So, but why DPIN is, if we were to buy like $1 million or $2 million of GPUs and put them into a data center, we are paying for that whether we have compute power or not. And so we must dramatically increase our costs to the end user. And so that's what things like the Web2 world is doing. They're raising a lot of money, buying data centers, and then they're doling out just a tiny amount of compute per person, and
Mhm.
they're arbitraging on the price difference. Our model is a little bit different in that, if you put one of your gaming PCs on our network, some days you may earn $2, some days you may earn 11, but to you, you're not that worried. It's just passive income to you.
Yeah.
But for us, it makes all the difference, and we pass almost all of those savings to the artist. And so, if you're doing, for example, a 10,000 NFT art collection, that is like literally 10 gigabytes worth of images that you're generating, and that'll probably cost you, I think, like $250. And so we have two tiers here. We have the NVIDIA tier that'll do it fast as possible, or we have the Mac tier, which is going to do it about 25% as fast, but it's going to be half the price, and it's a little bit more green energy because, man, Macs sip electricity compared to their output and stuff. So we want to be like that, again, that base layer of the world, the entire world. And so recently I was at RIT, well, my alma mater, because I graduated in this program called New Media. This is right after graphic design was a little bit too old, and what is the new thing. And I was telling them that we can potentially set up Sogni here and pull all credits from one wallet for students. But even if you wanted to, at night the lab machines could give power back, so that it's literally powering Asia's computer power, and Asia is powering the US. You know what I mean? And everyone is winning here, getting cheap fast renders. Our goal, by the way, was to be the cheapest inference in the world, but we also end up being the fastest because we can do 16 or 32 or even 512 images at once. Like Midjourney, I still keep my account. I can do one image in 50 seconds or about 4 images. And for some reason, like ChatGPT Dolly is pretty similar. Like these guys are colluding in showing you like, oh, that should be good enough for you. But every prompt to give you one image in a minute is so slow compared to like 5 seconds ideating, clicking the ones you like, rendering more of those.
Yeah. And the donating the computer power and receiving rewards in return is certainly an interesting wrinkle to the whole process, right? You mentioned a moment ago, so the process of providing your computing power and starting to earn rewards is as simple as going on the website, downloading that version, and clicking a button, and you're in.
Yeah, it's just it's slightly more advanced than that.
Okay.
Basically, the NVIDIA machines can earn so much in our network. Again, we charge about half a penny per render, and if you think every NVIDIA machine can do a render in every 5 seconds, you know what I mean? And so with these RTX 4090s and 5090s, these are so crazy powerful, man. It's no wonder NVIDIA is number one company in the world right now, even above Apple. It's like alien technology, but still, it's technically consumer hardware that you should not be running at 100% of the time. That's going to heat up your house. So we max these out at 25% per month. And at that number, the highest theoretically amount that they can make is about 350 a month. So that
Okay.
means in 1 year, you're able to actually pay off your gaming PC. You know what I mean? And so um, right now we only have support for images, but video is coming soon. And you can think of every video is like 15 images per second or 30
Mm,
images per second. So we anticipate our load is going to be going way up. And for Web 2 companies, that's a big fear. Oh, we got to double the size of the data center. We got to raise money. But for us, we pass 51% of our revenue to the workers. So when people know I can earn more than any other DeepIn network, I can join you guys. But there is this worry of having too many GPUs or too little GPUs, and so we have a NFT licensing layer. They're called our Sogni workers, and you must mint an NFT for a while. They were only about $20 worth of ETH to mint, but we've increased it to 40. And when we don't need any more GPUs, we can ratchet the price up because we don't want any more workers. We don't want our workers to complain that they're not earning enough, but we can mint out another 100, another 1,000 if suddenly we need a rush of more GPU workers. We got the idea from Singapore. To have a car here, not only do you need a license, but the car needs a license. It's only good for 10 years. And the price of that license is depending on supply and demand
mm,
for the 10-year license. So we copied that same concept with our NFT
interesting.
workers.
Now, you mentioned video a couple of times as something that we can look forward to in the very near future. As we near the end of 2025 and start to enter 2026, what else do you and the Sogni team have in store for us?
Yeah, so Sogni video is obviously the coolest one, and with that, we're looking at text to video, image to video, and even reference video to video and stuff. And I think we can also do audio to video too, which is pretty cool. And so the idea here is like you can use the image gen tools over 100 models to create the base layer, and then you can turn it into a 5 or 10 second or longer video clip after that, which is pretty cool. Another big thing we've been wanting to work on is artist profiles. We started this thing to be the most private, the cheapest and most private and secure, creative AI layer for people. And so there's so many analytics we don't have because we don't track you. We don't monitor your prompts. We don't do any of that stuff. But what we realized with our Discord and our X communities is that people really do want to share the work. They want to connect with each other. They want to hire each other and stuff. And we think Sogni artist profiles is going to be the best place for you to showcase your work, even do minting. So you're going to see on Etherlink the ability to mint limited works that you have. You can follow artists, see their streams in your stream. And then artists can even mint each other's work to showcase like their friends that they're proud of. And then eventually you can tie that into third parties for posters, for mugs, and other cool things. Our goal here is for artists and creatives to make money.
Cool. This is all great stuff so far, and I'm excited to learn more. But before we dive into the nitty gritty, are you ready for the world famous TezTalks lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right, then it is lightning round time. Remember, there are no wrong answers. This is just for fun so our viewers can get to know you a little bit better. Are you a night owl or an early riser?
I'm definitely a night owl. I used to be up till like 3, 4 a.m. Now I'm usually up to 1 or 2, and I try to get up by 8:39.
Exercise or naps?
I like them both. I want to say exercise, but I also enjoy naps. I have a 3-year-old that has to nap during the middle of the day, and I use that the optional like nap with her or not time.
Perfect. Pizza or sushi?
Oh man, ever since I left the US, I wasn't like super big into pizza, but now I absolutely love a chance to eat some pizza.
All right. What's your favorite country to visit for a vacation?
Man, I would say Japan is just so cool. I've never met someone that went to Japan that said I had a terrible time.
Nor have I. If you were elected king of the world, what's the first thing you would do?
Man, if I was elected king of the world, I would probably try to solve the hunger issue. In Singapore, we have these things called hawker centers, like every 5 or 10 blocks, and that's where see these shoebox restaurants, like 25 or 40 of them, all lined up, and it's like 350 per meal, and the government subsidizes the rent for these. That's how they can be cheap, and the quality is good, the price is good, and I wish we had something like this in America and all over the world.
Beautiful. Name one thing you will never do again.
I would say skydiving. I did it once right after college in New Jersey, and it was the coolest thing. But I'll never do it again. On the airplane, I was just like, "Why am I risking my life for a cheap flight?"
Fair enough. What's the secret to happiness?
I think the secret to happiness is definitely gratitude. There's a
Beautiful.
saying that a healthy man wants 1,000 things, a sick man only wants one.
Beautiful. Do you have any pets?
I do. I have a dog named Lufa. She's a French bulldog.
Lufa the dog. I love it. And finally, what is your favorite thing to do on a rainy day?
On a rainy day, I will probably listen to music and probably do work on my computer, and it feels good because I don't feel like I'm wasting my time and I should be outside. There's nothing else to do other than that, watching a movie with the wife and kids.
All right. Those were excellent answers. This concludes the TezTalks lightning round. Let's get back into it. Now that we've talked about Sogni's launch and its initial successes, I'd like to zoom out a little bit and talk about the current state of creative AI more broadly. First off, what is the current state of the creative AI space in 2025 as you see it?
Every like 2 to 3 weeks, our minds are being blown by the next model that gets released, and it's always a contender that wasn't the top dog is now the top dog. As of like 2 days ago, Google Gemini has released some incredible stuff. Before that, it was ChatGPT that did stuff. Um, Claude has been doing awesome stuff, but in terms of image gen, it's the Chinese models. They keep on open sourcing models for free that got trained on way smaller GPUs because China has an issue getting nice GPUs, but they're still be able to think creatively. And the very first time like DeepSeek R1 came out, for example, that was the equivalent of ChatGPT 4 back when we had ChatGPT 4, and it was free. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
these things are really big. That model, I think it's 721 billion parameters, which means you would need like at least $20,000 worth of a computer to be able to run that. But that's not like uh unattainable. If
mm,
people could gather together and build this thing, communities can launch something where you can be in a remote country in Alaska or a remote city and still have a community be able to with no internet connection to talk to ChatGPT 4 level stuff. A couple of days ago, um, Kimi K2 thinking came out, and that is the equivalent to ChatGPT 5, and that's open source, downloadable. And so, same thing with these open source video models. um, Flux 2 just came out yesterday, and everyone is scrambling because this model is so amazing. We have support for over 100 different open source models, but then when Flux 1 came out, it's like it's like it can do 90% of what all the other models used to do. You know what I mean? And there's still, if you really want to be fringe and different and unique, there's still advantages. Some of these other models have been trained on way different data sets. But people think that we are converging into just one winner, but I don't think so. I think we are getting to Einstein levels of power in these open source models, and I don't need a 10x Einstein model. I don't need the tippest, toppiest, most expensive option to get good work done. You know what I mean? And I also think we're going to a place where the models are actually not getting bigger; they're getting more efficient and smaller, which means you can run them for cheaper. You know what I mean? And so I think models are just commodities. They're not proprietary tech that is worth $1 billion when the open source ones are free and available. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So our goal, and has always been the same in these past 2 years, is to make creative AI accessible to like the everyman, and to, for a good designer and artist to 10x their skills, but also for a normal person to be able to understand and use these things. Currently, most of these AI art systems and ChatGPT systems are just a command line text, and you drag and drop and say, change this. I think people do that because they don't want to think about good UI workflows. And so, like I said, that is the hardest part of creating UI workflows that work easy. And now it's bifurcating into two places where we are like working on something called Sogni Vibe, where it's just an empty text box. What do you want to dream up today? And and when you send that to us, we're actually starting using large language models to say what's missing here from the object, the action, the background, the artistic style, and we will ask you enough questions to help you ideate and create that vision. You know what I mean? And so that's going to be released in the next couple of weeks. But the other thing is like the comfy UIs and the N8Ns, where you have this node-based workflows that's just crazy, and that looks crazy and overwhelming to normal people, right? And so I think we want to lean to the side of just making it easy to use to have average people to do above average level things.
mm. Now, as far as having average people have access to this stuff, you touched on the problems with the current creative AI ecosystem and the big brands that are dominating it at the moment. I'm wondering if you could expand on those thoughts a little further. Like, exactly how critical is it to provide alternatives like Sogni that take a different philosophical approach to the big players of today?
Yeah, with the private systems, it's only be time until there is a data leak and we realize that they had way more information of us. That even when like you get a business account with ChatGPT, it says in its terms of service that it's not training on your data, but we don't actually know what's going behind the hood. You know what I mean? And last week, I was in Dubai for this AI event called Function One. There was about 250 AI startups there, and everyone I talked to, it was really interesting. They're either using ChatGPT Wrapper or Gemini, or they give you the option. And I said, how can businesses use you guys giving you their clients' information, and it's all being funneled to Google or ChatGPT? I didn't say that because I don't want to be rude, but like. If I was a big or medium sized company, in law or some other places in design, I can't risk giving my clients data to a third party. You know what I mean? And so I do think with us, we are working on a layer on top that is run on our own GPUs that have data station test station SLAs and never leave the country that your startup is in. But we always will have the community layer where for 90%, 95%, I would even say, of use cases, it's okay, it's running on community nodes, it's so cheap, fat and fast, you know what I mean, and secure enough, right? So it's going to be interesting to see this debate whether people do care about privacy. I think normal people not as much, but if you're a business, you kind of have to. You have to care about these things. And I'm kind of fearful the way like OpenAI is moving with this for-profit entity. And eventually you ask it for advice and you don't know whether it just knows you and the advice so well, or it got paid behind the scenes to promote this $1 billion to promote this thing. You know what I mean? Like it knows us so well, it's scary. And so we want to be always want to be the alternative. Adding large language model support is also something that we're working on. And again, we're not going to get the same 10x Einstein levels as the closed source systems, but we are getting good enough to do this stuff, and we can guarantee that no one is snooping or using your data, and we're certainly not trying to collect it.
Okay. And one final question: as somebody who's working currently and building at the intersection of blockchain and AI, what makes those two technologies a good fit in how they intersect?
For me, it was literally the number one fit that I've ever seen, because when you have like Bitcoin, you can theoretically say like the Bitcoin nodes, they're some people that are doing wasteful by solving puzzles to secure the block, and it's a lot of wasted compute to find one person that solves the block every 10 minutes, right? With us, you're actually doing work for other people, generating images, videos soon, answering queries and different stuff. You're providing a real valuable service, and you're getting paid in GPU token for that, which represents GPU time, which represents real value. You know what I mean? And so when we created the first DeepIn network, there's so many nodes from around the world that you can't just settle on US dollar. You can't even settle on USDT or USDC, because not everyone accepts the dollar. And to do real fiat would be a logistical nightmare, and so much KYC and stuff. We're not doing anything bad by rendering images and other stuff for people, and and so marrying those two concepts of DeepIn plus blockchain is so good. And then having NFTs that build reputation over time. We recently had somebody scam another person in our community, and we were able to blacklist those two NFTs that they had, so that they can't profit off those sales and stuff like that. So we can still have security. It's as transparent as possible for the community and people. And like, that's the way things are. When you put things on chain, it should be so that everyone kind of understand what's going on. And so, yeah, overall, it was not only super interesting, but you got to be an artist who loves blockchains to even think up and build this stuff. And we're
Mm,
pretty much a team of artists and builders that love blockchains.
okay. We could go on all day. I've got about a dozen questions that we weren't able to get to, so we'll have to do this again down the road. But unfortunately, we're at the end of our time here. To all our viewers, thanks for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our social media contacts can be found at tezoscommons.org/TezTalks. We'd love to hear from you. Mauvis, thanks so much again for joining us today. It's always awesome to speak to the folks, bringing amazing platforms like Sogni to the Tezos ecosystem and making the most of what Etherlink has to offer. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before we sign off here?
No, I would say, yeah, have fun and give Sogni a spin. If you got an iPhone, just look up us up in the App Store. For everything else, Sogni Web, it works on all devices, iPads, everything. Um, the SDK, if you're a builder, check out the SDK. You can build anything you can dream up. Feel free to reach out to us at dream@sogni.ai if you have any questions. We're here for you.
Beautiful. To everyone out there in Tezos land, thanks for joining us on TezTalks Live. I'm Stu from the Tezos Commons, and our awesome guest has been Mauvis Ledford from Sogni. Now let's go get creative.
Thank you, Stu. Thanks so much.